Second. That up all the way. It's as high up as that'll. As high up as that'll go. Oh my God. What a morning. Jeez. Oh, I'll see if I get a few people on here before I take off. It was a beautiful day, though. Low humidity, 79 degrees, and sunny, you can see. Yeah, so we are heavy right now. Ooh, do my daily 1 hour. Okay, I got one I can start. I am southbound on 65 in Kentucky. I had a pickup that was supposed to be in. They're gone. Never mind. It's hard when you don't have friends. It's hard. I can feel this. My gas mileage is suffering for this. I got 2,610 pounds in the rear end of this van, so we are right there at capacity. It's already going downhill. Ew. This makes for a long day. Central time zone. I think I don't know. What am I going? Going southbound. Yeah. Anyway, southbound 65 in Kentucky. I'm going to Alabaster, Alabama. And the pickup was scheduled for 8 o'clock this morning. Unfortunately, this is where the time zone switches over. So I didn't know what time zone we were talking about. So I showed up at 7:30. And this was a long morning. I showed up at 7:30. I pulled in, and there's a sign that says, "Call this number or go on CB channel 4." And I have a radio, so I go CB channel 4. We pull up, and the guy starts. You key the radio, and it's exactly 7:30. A voice comes on and goes, "What is the name and the pickup number of the first vehicle?" And this guy, old guy in the first truck, starts talking. And I mean, he starts talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Like, Jesus, shut up. Finally gets done. Then she goes, "Okay, second vehicle." And that same guy goes, "Oh, hey, truck number 2, they're calling for you," like, as if he wasn't listening. I can see people writing contact. He says, "Hi, I got to say hi back." I can't actually see the screen because of the lighting, and I apologize. But the guy in truck number 1 comes up and says, "Hey, number 2, they're calling for you," like he can't hear us. So when he finally shuts up, truck number 2 comes on and goes, "Yeah, I'm with so-and-so." And then it goes to number 3, and the number 1 guy, again, thinks he needs to insert his 2 cents into it. And then it goes to number 3, and then number 1 comes up, and finally they're done with number 3. And I was parked where I was kind of hidden if there was anybody looking out the window in my van. And she says, "Is there anybody else out there?" And number 1 guy pops up and says, and I quote, "There's just some asshole in a van out here." And she goes, "Oh, I guess they'll call me on the phone." And I came up on the radio and said, "Hey, this is the asshole in the van." Gave my company my pickup number. Remember that guy in the first van that wouldn't shut up? Yeah, he shut up. He completely stopped talking after that. So anyway, I go for my pickup, and the lady calls me and she says, "We're not ready yet for your load, but you can go park over in this gravel lot next door." So I went over there and parked. We're back. Jumped off. Calls back. They said it's okay. You can just hang out. And I say, he says, "Oh, we haven't even made yours yet." Oh, that's just wonderful. So I got in and got my load. I got there at 7:30, and I local whatever. Again, I don't know which time zone I was in, and I pull out of there at 12:20. So I got 5 hours of sitting there. So I had to call my people. Oh, whoever's on here saying hi, I'm saying hi back. I can see everybody. I can't see the writing because the lighting in here is all wrong. So I ended up sitting there for over 5 hours, and I called dispatch and I said, "All right, what kind of retention do I get for this?" And he goes, "Well, the first 2 hours they know you can't get paid." I said, "All right." And then they got to figure out what the contract rate is. So I'm getting paid something. I got to figure out what it is. But I am currently on 65 South in Kentucky, and I'm going to Alabaster, which is south of Birmingham, just outside the city limits. And I'm carrying three little pallets totaling 2,600 pounds, which for my van is a lot of weight because my max payload is like 3,100. So I'm kind of close to what I can do with this vehicle. It's taking it like a champ, but it is a lot of weight for this vehicle. And the thought that was on my mind for today, something that got into my circuits here, when I play on YouTube. I've watched YouTube for years, but I made a channel back in 22, and I've been doing this the whole time. It's mostly entertainment for myself, but you learn as you go along. You learn different things. My actual skills on video and editing are pretty much non-existent, but there's some people on here that are really, really good at it. And I remember about 15, 18 years ago was the first time I had never heard the word Photoshop. I didn't even know what that meant. Where people take pictures of themselves and they get in there and they try to clean it up. And I think how that got to be an average person's gig. My wife used to model back when she was younger, and she explained to me how they'll take a picture. And we actually watched the document. The truck just went by. There's a big dog in the back of the bed. He's got a big grin on his face. Get hit with there. But we watched a documentary a few years ago, the wife and I, about modeling, and it shows this totally normal looking woman. She's not attractive. She's not unattractive. She's just normal looking. She's not wearing any makeup. She's got her hair pulled back, and she's walking down the sidewalk, and she turns into this building, and they take her in, and they take a picture of her, just average looking person. And then they take her into makeup, and they make her look insanely gorgeous with the hair and the makeup and the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, wow. And they put her in the outfit she needs to wear. She takes professional photos and professional lighting. And then they take that picture, which looks great. They put it on a computer, and a guy gets in there and starts making all these adjustments to it. Her eyes got bigger, her chin got smaller, her neck got longer, her cheekbones moved a little bit, the color of her eyes enhanced. They just make all these little fine-tuning things. And then when they were done, it was, impossibly attractive. And then they show it what she looked like when she walked in there, and it was night and day. There was no comparison between the person that walked in the door and the person that's now looking back at you on the screen. And it was stunning. But that was years ago. And then it was Photoshop was the first thing, and people could do it on a still photo. And then they came up with filters. Everybody's probably familiar with filters that can change your appearance actively. It started out kind of slow, but as time goes on, it's gotten more high tech. And the first time I ever heard about that is there was a vlogger in, I think it was Korea, that had a zillion followers. And it was this young, beautiful woman who was talking to the camera about who knows what. I don't speak the language. And it was a filtered picture, and something happened, and the filter clicked off for like 5 seconds and came back on. And the woman on the other end of the microphone was a pudgy woman, probably in her 50s. And then it whooped it back to the filter. And everybody went, wait a minute. People like me doesn't know doesn't know this exists, you know? And then they started looking into it. And even to this day, if you look at videos coming out of Korea and China, when they've got some insanely beautiful woman, for some reason they make their skin really, really pale, and they're just absolute. Hold on, I can see the screen a little bit. Hi, yo, and why? What? I can't read that word. Wait, I can't read though. I'm sorry. The light in here is really bad. It's a reflection, and it's really hard to read what's going on. But if you look at videos coming out of Southeast Asia that always has that impossibly beautiful woman who's, again, that's a thing over there. It's real pale skin, they're real thin, and they're just gorgeous. And they're round-eyed, for lack of a better word. They all look exactly the same because the filter that they use brings them back to those facial features. So if it's shot in China or Indonesia, or South Korea, it's the same face on all of them if you look closely. So using filters has been a thing now for a while. And finally, today, the latest is AI, where it's actually, if you look close, it's a cartoon figure, an idealized cartoon figure of themselves. And I've seen videos of women who do that kind of stuff. They're semi-popular and they have a vlog and they use that AI cartoonish look of themselves and they go on a date. And the date goes, wait a minute, you don't look anything like your picture, because they didn't know what they were looking at. And the women get mad. And someone was on YouTube ranting and raving about how she went on a date. And the guy just stopped and said, no, you're not what you were advertising. And actually turned left. And he goes, well, yeah, she says literally, yeah, the picture was AI, but it looks just like me. Well, apparently it doesn't. And if it did, why did you have to use that? You're putting out a false impression of what you look like. I mean, imagine if some guy presented himself as a mover and a shaker, was a very successful guy and had lots of money, and you show up and it was just all Photoshop pictures, standing in front of cars he didn't know or something like that. I mean, I don't imagine women would go for that either. But yeah, it was just bizarre how they do that now, the AI stuff. And about a year ago, I had somebody accuse me of using a filter, which, first off, I don't know how. I don't know how to get to the program. I don't know how the system works. I don't understand it. And if I did have using a filter, I don't think I would put the setting on old fat guy, because that's the picture it's given. Old fat guy. 2 nights ago, I dropped off a midnight drop of a little tiny box, and there was a pilot flying J. This is why I'm talking about this, right? Went to a pilot flying J, and there was a place I'd actually stayed at a couple of times. It's on the extreme eastern side of Kentucky. We're talking like 4 miles from the border. And as I pulled in, I looked around a little bit. And it dawned on me I had been there before. I spent the night, so I went back to the corner where I kind of hide out. There was a handful of vans for some other companies, and there was a silver van that was fairly close to mine, parked off to the side. Got up in the morning, and I was taking down my blinders and doing my morning routine. And the driver of the van was a female, and she said, "Hey, how's it been going?" And I walked over and talked to her. I didn't catch her name, and we just sat there and BS. We talked on and off during the day. And she was in her 40s, a little rough around the edges, uh, nice person. And she'd been on the road for a long time, apparently. She hadn't been home. So she was living in the van. And I brought up YouTube and whatnot. And she said, "Oh, I do TikTok." I went, "Oh, cool." So I showed her one of mine, just random, here you go. And she turned around and showed me one of hers. And I tell you what, had I been watching her video and I looked up and she was standing in front of me, by no stretch would I have thought that, hey, that's you in the video. There was no connection between her face on that screen and her face looking back at me. That's how AI filtered out she made it. It was absolutely incredible how far away from what she looked like in that video. And I was taken aback. I didn't say anything about it, but it caught me completely off guard. So my brain, my simple brain says, you're making videos, you're having fun, you're doing your thing. But now I have to challenge what I have believed, that you're talking to the person on the other end. That's actually what they look like. Because this, like I said, there was no relationship between her face and the face looking at me. This was her voice, but that was it. And that kind of surprised me. So now I'm kind of rethinking who I'm watching on here, because I've got my regulars that I pay attention to. What's nice about driving down the road like this is I get to listen to Sirius, and I get to listen to audiobooks, and I listen to YouTube because there's a lot of videos on there you don't have to watch. All you have to do is listen. That's the kind that I enjoy. But this has been a long, as they say, a long road to hoe to get this. I'm going to be down there 5 or 6 o'clock local on a Friday, which traditionally means you're stuck like Chuck. I don't want to be stuck down here. It's still hot. So I've been marketing dispatch, telling them to give me something for Saturday. Just give me rolling. I don't want to be stuck down there. Our core area for our most cargo for our company, it's Ohio, Pennsylvania, over in Indiana, Illinois, uh, Michigan, Wisconsin. That's kind of our core area. That's where the vast majority of our work comes from. I haven't been up there in 2 weeks. I've literally been everywhere but up there. And I'm trying to get back. Not only is it where it's busier, but it's also where it's cooler for sleeping purposes. That's something I focus on a lot. Right? Not having to set up an air conditioner or whatnot. Up here on the right side of the road in the distance here, we're going to pass Mammoth Caves. It's a national park. If you ever get the chance, if you're traveling around the country and you get the opportunity, it's worth a stop. You'll take the tour, they'll walk you down underground. There was a very old aqueduct, water drowned, and there's like man-made, it's excuse me, natural, like water pipes that are huge, just underground caverns. Apparently, like in 1850 or something, the story goes, there was a guy hunting and he shot a bear, and the bear took off running and chased it, and he found the opening. It's like a sinkhole, though. The forest floor fell away and left a giant opening to get down in there. And as you go down the stairs, you're getting hit with a blast of cold air that comes out of there perpetually. It's kind of shocking. You have to wear a jacket. I don't care how hot it is outside. You need to bring a jacket when you go in there because it's cold. It's cold down there. And they found markings and remains of Indians from who knows how far back down in there. Starting during I think the Civil War on up, they find some element that comes out of there to help make ammunition or explosives, and there's remnants of the equipment and whatnot. The tour takes you by, and you get to take a look at it and whatnot. That's kind of cool. But Mammoth Caves in Kentucky, it's worth a stop. I found out about it in 1987. I was playing Army. They took us over here. We got to go see it because we were fairly close by. And then 22, I had my wife out here. When we went to Cleveland to do a podcast, busy family, we stopped on the way back because I was just driving down the road and I saw the sign. I was like, wait a minute, I remember that. We went in there, spent some time. There's a sign. Cave City, Mammoth Cave, 8 miles right there. And that's the excitement for today. I've got 3 pallets. They're not very big, but I got my bunk flipped up and everything's crushed up in here. Have no space left for that. It's 3 small pallets, but the total weight was 2,610 pounds, which is on the heavy side. And I got it strapped down because you definitely don't want that flying around in there in the event of an emergency. Now I'm motoring. Got gas. 21.4 right now, which I can't complain, especially considering the weight we have in here. Keep telling dispatch I want a weird load. I want to go up to North Dakota. Something like that. Someplace weird off the beaten path. And I actually did the first time I was expediting. I did a single load from Houston to North Dakota, straight up I-35, all the way up in there. And it was in the middle of the summer in August in Houston when it's 10,000 degrees outside and humid to the point that fish could swim around in the sky. And I drive up there and I rolled out of my bunk at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it was bone dry. And I'm standing there in my boxer shorts doing the victory dance. It was so wonderful. I know one guy from North Dakota who said, yeah, it's okay in the summer, but it's murderous in the winter because the wind, it's cold and the wind howls. Absolutely howls. Cane City. It's 3 years ago. Wow. See, the days are long, but the years are short. Is that an undercover? No. I'm actually 500 with a speed limit, so not like it matters. Oh, there's a sign right there. Down here, they have the National Corvette Museum, which I imagine could be interesting if you're into Corvettes. I'm not really my thing, but I was considering going in there and doing some filming, and it turns out that tickets are $25. And I'm like, I don't feel like spending $25 because I'm not really a Corvette guy. Has anybody here ever seen some really bad Photoshop pictures? There was to my knowledge, there used to be a page dedicated to those. And some of them were absolutely hysterical. There was a famous one of a little fat kid, probably 12, 13 years old. He's a white kid, looks like Opie, but he's wearing a do-rag. And he's in the bathroom flashing a gang sign and takes a picture of himself and photoshopped a muscular body from his double chin down that was disproportionate to the size of his body, so it looked double stupid. And there was another one. It was a chubby Spanish guy, and he's in the bathroom. He pulls his shirt up to show his ripped abs. He's a fat guy, and again, it's a disproportionate body looking back at you in great shape. You go, oh, okay. And then there was a dude that had a picture of himself leaning against some low dollar off brand motorcycle, and I'm going to guess it's in Central or South America. And the quality of the film and the lighting was kind of dim, but yet there's a super bright, colored, impossibly beautiful woman standing next to him whose quality, again, the quality of the picture and the color of the picture contradicted everything else in the picture because he just attached it. Said, look, okay. And I saw this one girl who was probably a teenager, and she pictured her, and it was pictures of her standing on the ramp of an airplane, not a private jet, something bigger. And then picture of her walking up the ramp, getting on the plane, and she's like, "Oh, I'm getting on my jet, and I'm going to go blah blah blah." I'm like, yeah, okay, she's 15. Yeah, okay, honey, you've got an old Soviet-built airliner as your private jet at 16 years old. Yeah, that's yeah, we're going to go along with that. Clouds look nice today. Try some. I'm trying to read the comment section. Just I can't get my screen bright enough to see. Okay, I can't even read it. Hi, yo, wag, wag, Lucy. Yeah, I can't do much with that. Frankly, my dear brisket. Anyway, that's the excitement for today. Traffic is moderate. I haven't had to slow down once, so that's a good sign. Talked to the boss lady this morning. She's doing good. was talking yesterday about that. She did that. She bought a lot of paint. We're going to be repainting our house. We bought the place in 2013. I think. It's a townhouse. The complex was built in the early 80s. And I'm of the impression the previous owners never did anything except change the light bulbs. So when we bought the place, we gutted it top to bottom, put in a giant, took out the plastic bathtub shower and put in a giant walk-in shower, tall glass, tiled walls, a tall shower head. It must, because like when you're a tall guy, finding a shower head you can get under is kind of a challenge. I put in wood floors. Or the stair gets 2-story. The staircase is wood, but the kick panel is diamond plate stainless, which looks really nice. We stole the idea from a museum. Then we painted it. We painted warm colors downstairs and kind of cool colors upstairs. And now she's changing upstairs to steampunk and then downstairs to cool colors. So we're just kind of mixing it up a little bit. And they were having Sherwin-Williams. I don't like buying paint at box stores because the person behind the counter in the box stores is just whoever got assigned to work in the paint department. Go to Sherwin-Williams, you're talking to people who understand what they're doing and what the paint is and what you need. The quality of paint is a lot higher end. Apparently, every once in a while they have a massive sale. We bought, my wife put in there and bought some real expensive paint, 40% off. And my veteran got me another 10%. And as I've talked about on here before, my wife and I, the only thing we use is an American Express card. And I zero it out every day. And I get points. And with the points I get gift cards. Well, we've been getting $25 to $100 gift cards in the mail now for a while. So when it came time to pay the bill, she just picked up a stack of those gift cards and walked in there and paid cash. And it was like free paint. And it's really nice stuff too. So that was an enjoyable experience. Being able to buy top end paint on killer sale with what I refer to as free money. $21.7. Well, it isn't going with that. There you go, dude. Slide adjustment. Alrighty. So 65 takes me up with what I'm on. This takes me a good chunk of the drive down here. And then it branches off. It goes on 40 for a while. And then after that to Huntsville. And then after that, I kind of lost track of it goes. But a big chunk of this ride is 65. And after a while, you start recognizing where all the roads go, and you recognize the towns, recognize the street signs, because you see, you're driving on this part of the country, you see the same stuff over and over and over. My uncle did. He was a walking United States road map. You tell him vaguely where you were, and he could give you detailed information as to what you needed to do from there. I still have to figure out this music thing, and I think I've done how to play music and stream at the same time. And there's a fuel tank on the back of that flatbed. It's sitting cattywampus. It's like it moved. That's not good. And there's apps you can put on your phone, and it says, "Oh yeah, download this and play that." And I can never quite get them to work right. So I got to figure this out, and then I got to figure out the licensing because half the people on YouTube have music, but how do you get the green light to use it? How do I don't understand that. And I have tried to find what they call license-free music or public domain music, and I can't even find it on here. So I got to come up with a plan here pretty quick. these ditches along the squirrel, these ditches along the side of the road, it's the grass. At night, when you're driving along here, you'll see deer standing there eating. And I've had those little deer whistle things you stick on your bumper. They talk about, oh yeah, the frequency is real high pitch with the air going through, and it scares them all. But those deer couldn't possibly care less that you have that deer whistle. You can even honk their horn; they don't care. They're so used to cars. I-65 southbound in Kentucky. If you're going to Alabaster, south side of Birmingham in Alabama, with what appears to be windshields for cars. I think this is a glass factory, and it's open frame crates, and based on the shape of the product, it's windshields. And apparently, whatever they're bringing down here is high demand because our company had a 10 o'clock pickup last night, a 2 o'clock buy this morning that didn't happen, and then one for noon. So whatever this product is, they're making them as fast as they can and shipping them as fast as they can. Mileage is going up. I'm up to 22.1. Woo-hoo. Hold on a sec here. Hold on a second. Glasses to try to see what's saying what. Okay, I need to not be next to this guy. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I got a what's up back at you. Had to speed up. There we go. That's Butterfly. Hey, what's up? You calling? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm driving. I've got a load. Yeah, I was supposed to pick this load up at 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning, and they actually got it ready at 12:30. So this day, about the time I was supposed to be arriving with this thing is when they actually gave it to me, and I put that all on my paperwork. And I got driving, and within a few minutes, I got a phone call, and they said, "Why is your ETA so late?" And I said, "Gee, I don't know. Did you look at the paperwork?" And then they said, "Well, why did why did you sit there for 5.5 hours?" I go, "That's a question many people would like to have answered, including me." They had a radio calls. They used a CB channel radio, and we were talking to them back and forth and on the phone. And just, I don't know. This is part of the problem. There's a pickup time and there's a delivery time. In where when somebody screws up on the pickup or the delivery, it all falls on the driver. It's the driver's fault. If you have a long drive ahead of you, you do the math on how long it's going to take to get there, and then you figure in your sleep time, depending on the situation. You have to factor that in. Well, when they start screwing up the pickup, all they're doing is stealing your sleeping time because the get there time this isn't going to move. So they'll eat up all your sleep time while they're trying to figure out how to do their job. It can be mildly frustrating. And that's something a dispatcher will do in certain cases. They'll guarantee pickup 5 minutes ago for a place that's 100 miles away from where the driver is, and guarantee they're going to be there 9 minutes from now. And then you get there and they're mad because you're late. You go, not a whole lot I can do here. Let's see here. People pointing out, yeah, my gas mileage is fluctuating depending on the hill. So I bought in 2005 when satellite radio was kind of a new thing. There was Sirius and XM. They were competitors. but there really wasn't enough business to keep them afloat. So they were in the process of going under when the FCC allowed them to merge to try to survive by just having one. So it became Sirius XM. And back then, out of desperation, they offered, it was like $10 a month or $12 a month or something for a subscription to it. And they were offering a lifetime subscription for $5. And then one day they had a sale, a lifetime subscription for $375, and I bought it. And here we are 20 years later, and I still have it. I've transferred it to a couple of different vehicles I've owned, and it has been in my wife's car now for the last 11 years. And then I found out they have a mobile app for your phone, a satellite radio mobile app. And I put it on my phone, and I put in my password and everything, and it worked. So now we have a lifetime subscription in my wife's car and one on my phone that I can Bluetooth to the radio in the van. So now I have two lifetime subscriptions to SiriusXM. And I listen to my audiobooks and my 1940s big band music and 80s rock and all the fun stuff I enjoy going down the road. And here in a little while, I'm going to go to my audiobook. Currently listening to one. It's the German side of World War II on the Eastern Front, which is pretty ugly. That guy's in a hurry. Yeah, if people are texting on here, I can't really see the screen. Again, the lighting is really. At night I can see it. During the day, it's really difficult from where I'm sitting. Sign. Let's see, it's 1:30ish. Nashville 70. Good. I'll hopefully get through there before the traffic. So sliding out in a gravel parking lot as the sun was coming up this morning, and there were some crows. Sorry, guy, got to come over. Sorry, guy's throwing a fit behind me. That's why I moved over, dude. There were some crows behind the van. And, I was eating a peach. I went to the Wally Road yesterday. I buy fruit to use going down the road. I finished a peach, and the pit still had some flesh on it. I kind of threw it over by him, and he took it, picked it apart, stood there and watched me, and then broke into the nut and started doing something. I'm like, that's kind of cool. You're out here on the open road. I don't really care what you're driving. Don't be behind or quartering behind a truck. Big trucks kick up lots of stuff and bounce it off the windshield. If it's a gravel truck or a dump truck of any type, stay away from that completely. I don't care if they're empty. I promise you, if they hit the slightest bone, there's going to be some gravel somewhere in that truck that's going to fly out the back. This van came with a few windshield chips because of that. The next 4 or 5 weeks, these trees are going to start changing colors out here on the East Coast. These trees are brown, gold, yellow, all kinds of fun colors. Only a short period of time, but real vibrant. It's kind of fun to look at. Pennsylvania seems to have some of the more fun colors. This is southern Kentucky here. I don't know how far we are from the border. Oop, another sign, another sign. Yellow and green. Next, since I came into Nashville a couple of months ago, late at night. Usually the traffic slows down coming into town, a little bump and grind. There were some cars that were relatively old. A car would shoot by me in the hammer lane going the opposite direction in the middle of town. Mind you, there's a concrete wall between each side of the highway, and this guy was on our side of the highway going head on with us. He would shoot past. I jumped on the radio and started yelling at all the drivers behind me to look out for the idiot. He's in the hammer lane. People were like, "What?" I said, "There's somebody going the wrong way on the interstate." That was a little shocking. Ooh. Minivan just went by in the far left lane. Almost in a cargo carrier up to the pitch. It's full of tubs and so much weight back there. It's dragging the bumper. Back back years ago, there used to be this trend that would fly around that someone would come up with an idea. And one of them was, remember the first pet you ever had? What was its name? And the first street you ever lived on that you can remember. And the pet's name and the street name would be your name if you were ever in the porn business. If you got into the industry. And you would kind of pass that around the circle and see what kind of names people had. Mine was Crash Sedgefield, starring Crash Sedgefield. And we went around, I was working out in the Gulf, and we went around the room. Everybody was giving their porn name. It was fun. And there was this one guy out there. He's a black dude, big, huge, like linebacker, NFL player, no head neck option guy, really big. We're going around, I don't remember his name, but he went around the room and it got to him and he's looking at the floor. And we went, "What?" And he said, "Fluffy McGee." So this 350-pound musclehead black guy, and his poor name is Fluffy McGee, which, needless to say, became his name going forward on that day. Everybody just called him Fluffy. uh, oh, the good old days. Whoa, dispatch, gotta go for a second. You're live. I'm back. I'm back. All right, sorry. Dispatch call. We have a tracking device, and every once in a while it goes dormant, and they don't get an update on where you're at. So I had to set a fresh ping. All right, gotta work. Oh, that's a pilot car. You have pilot cars or escort vehicles. Those are the vehicles you see out here with the whoopee lights all over them and flags. Yeah, they were getting yellow light. They have a oversized load and whatnot. There's one to the front, one to the back, and sometimes there's only one to the back. And there's not really any pattern to how they do it. I don't understand the rules of it, but you'll see those out here, and they're called pilot cars or escort cars. And I've seen them in these truck stops. They sleep like we do at the rest areas and truck stops. And somebody posted a picture, and the name of the company was Oversized Escorts. And somebody took a picture, and there was a very large woman driving the car, and they kind of clipped the picture so it showed her and the name Oversized Escort. And somebody's comment was, "Hey, I saw your mom on her way to work today," and she was big. Whoops. Wow, gas mileage is picking up. I'm getting 22.9 right now. I'm going a little faster than normal trying to cover this distance, and I'm carrying all this weight, and my mileage is tickling at 23 again. We are passing through Bowling Green, Kentucky. I have no idea what this area is famous for, if anything. I do know that Kentucky bourbon, Kentucky whiskey is manufactured around here. And one of the things about doing it is when they make it, whiskey is clear, crystal clear. And they make these barrels out of some kind of wood here that they grow commercially. They make a barrel and then they take a blowtorch and they burn the inside of it. They fill, they put in the whiskey in the wooden barrel and they put in these warehouses. And I've seen the warehouses, they're everywhere. They're big buildings, like big fancy apartment buildings. They just don't have any windows. And they put them in those buildings, put them on the rack on their side, and they have to sit in there for, I think they said 7 years. The barrels hang out there for 7 years, and then they pull it out because it ages the whiskey, and the charcoaling of the wood seeps some kind of flavor into the alcohol, breaks it down, and that's when it comes out that amber color. Is from the combination of the charcoal interior and the wood itself that it absorbs. But it's a 7 year process, so they'll be rolling barrels in there and parking them on these shelves, and then they'll go over to another building and pull out the barrels that have been in there for the period of time, and then pull the fluid out. They don't reuse the barrels. I believe they sell them. I'm not sure to whom or why, but they sell the barrel that they're done. Wood, solid wood barrel. It's a 7 year process. Like I said, it goes clear and it comes out amber. It has that flavor. I'm not exactly a drinker, but what I'm told is pretty good. I tried a different type of injector cleaner today. I used Lucas and Seafoam. I used a different type. as I'm sitting here. I can't remember the name. Oh well, I'll figure it out when I get it. But try different cleaners for your engine. But pouring in injector cleaner is probably not a bad idea. Use a brand name. Don't use that Walmart garbage. I use, like I said, Seafoam and Lucas. Lucas is probably the better of the two. And I try this other one just as it's more of a fuel system cleaner. But don't pour it on top of fuel. Let the fuel out. Let it run down low. Then pour the cleaner in, and then put the fuel. You get your gas pump, put it on top so it mixes. Another one. There we go. That's the sound I was looking for. There's radar detector. I'm not actually speeding, but that did me some good the other day. Talking about that a couple days ago when I was going into North Carolina to do a pickup. I got off the highway, went on a secondary road that was like 3 lanes, and then the concrete, it wasn't a divider, it was just a flat area, and then 3 lanes. It was a big, huge, wide open space. And for some reason, the speed limit was 45. I don't know what that was all about, but it was going up the hill, and the radar started going off. I wasn't speeding, I was actually slowly accelerating. And the radar starts going off going up the hill. And 2 cars had just passed me, and I'm thinking maybe one of them was an undercover. And I looked in the mirror, and neither one of them were the type of vehicle they use for that. So as I crested the hill, it was going off a lot stronger, and the road went about 100 yards, and then it branched off to the left. And as I was looking, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go down this steep hill where people pick up ahead of steam. Trying to read this now. Yeah, I'm trying to read the screen. Which Indiana? Hope you remember me. Well, yes, I'm in. I'm in Kentucky right now. Like I said, I'm really having a hard time seeing the screen with this light. I'm in Kentucky. This is southbound 65. We just went through Bowling Green, and I'm en route to Alabaster, Alabama, which is just south of Birmingham, just outside the city. And so anyway, I go over the hill, and my radar's freaking out. I see this downhill slope about 100 yards, and it makes a hard left. And I go, okay, what's happening? Is people are going to come down this steep hill, go fly around the corner, and the cop's going to be sitting right there. And right about the time that thought went through my head, 2 cars would shoot past me, flying around the corner. So I'm kind of straining my neck as I come to the turn to see what's going on to my left. And out of the corner of my eye on the right, a patrol car appears in the bushes. He's back off the road, parked in some trees in the dark. You can't even see him if you're looking into the sun. And he pulls out, cuts across this little grassy field, drops off a curb, a concrete drop off, not a driveway, and then takes off, and he flips his lights on, and he's coming up behind me, and I'm going, you ain't coming after me, dude. We got up to this speed limit. And went around me, and he pulled these 2 people over at the bottom of the hill in a parking lot, and there were 2 or 3 other cars in the parking lot with state troopers there writing tickets. So they're just sitting there in their little honey hole, you know, in an area with a whoa. See that sticking out? That could have clipped my van going by. Whoa. I didn't know that guy was back there. Oof. Oh, that was ugly. Yeah, that guy could have hit me with that. So I was sticking out what a good 4 feet. So that was the excitement for the day. So on here on the open highway, a radar detector doesn't really do much for me because I'm not even going the speed limit. But it's when you get off road, when you get in these little towns where they make a ridiculously low speed limit, and they sit on the outskirts of town and just nab people coming in. It's just a money grab. That's all it is. Uh, so this is direct. I couldn't do anything but direct because I don't have a bunk. But my GPS has me getting there around 5 or 6 o'clock tonight. Break. I think this is going to be a direct shot down. It was 340 some odd miles, and I've gone about 85, 90 so far. So I stopped for fuel and got something to munch on, and now I do my stream, talk about what's happening here, and go back on with my other stuff. Tell you what, I'm zeroed out. I'm going to go ahead and bail now. Take care. Catch you guys later.